Hey guys, so here's a question for you. What is the best all-around 4x4 tire ever made? Got a lot of opinions out there, I'm sure. But let me tell you what I think.
I spent my youth dropping coins in a wishing well. In hopes one day that I would find a story to tell.
So 3 years ago this summer, the summer of 2017, a company named Milestar came out with an all-new off-road tire, and they decided that they were going to get serious in the Jeep and pickup truck game, because up until that point nobody had really heard of them, to be honest. So they brought out the Milestar Patagonia MT. Now within the first 12 months that tire became extremely popular. I mean, it just blew up. It was in off-road magazines, all over YouTube. It was just probably the most popular tire of the next year, 2018. Everybody was getting them, right? So is it really the best all-around tire that's out there? Well, think about this. There's really 5 categories that people are looking at when they go to buy a set of tires for their Jeep or for their pickup, right? Price, quality, appearance, off-road traction, and on-road traction. If you look at the Milestar Patagonia MT, first of all, you can't beat the price. I mean, for example, I'm about to put a set of them on this Ram, bought another set, should be here very soon. I paid $199 each for them. The next least expensive tire in the same size that I was looking for, which is sort of like a 35 by 12, was $300 a tire. So that's $100 savings per tire, which obviously comes out to $400 if you're buying a set. Now that's a really, really big deal. You'd be hard pressed to find another tire that's less expensive than the Milestar. I mean, they've just got those things really, really priced well. And I think that that's one of the reasons why they've sold so many of them. But a tire that's really cheap in price can only do well if it's also a quality tire. Now, we put a set of them on my cousin's truck. I'm doing long-term reviews on it right now. He's running them on a Ram 2500 with a Cummins diesel, 4-wheel drive, big, heavy, powerful truck. And he's got a set of 34 by 12s on there. He's up to like 35,000 miles now, and those things are wearing fantastic. I've been showing you guys videos of them. They roll smooth down the road. They're quiet. Just a fantastic tire. I bought a set of them in a 35 1250 for my Jeep. Ran them on the Wrangler JL, ran them on the Gladiator JT. Off-road, on-road, everything. They balanced out perfectly, quiet, smooth, just a fantastic tire. If you read like through the internet, social media, websites, forums, you'll be hard pressed to find anybody saying anything negative about the Milestar. I mean, it's a fantastic tire in terms of quality, just a really high quality tire. Easy to balance, rolls smooth, what else do you want, right? So the price is awesome. You can't beat the price. The quality is fantastic. Look, I've had all the brands, okay? All of the brands, I've had them. And the funny thing is, the most popular brands out there, like Nitto, BF Goodrich, so on and so forth, those are the ones that I've actually had the most trouble with in terms of performance, traction, being able to balance them, all of that. I've had the most trouble with those. It's kind of funny, actually. But the Milestars never had a problem. So the price is great, the quality is great, the appearance is a big deal these days. You know, guys want a tire that looks rugged. You know, it just looks the part, especially if you're putting them on a lifted Jeep or a lifted pickup. You know, those big, aggressive, meaty looking sidewalls with the lugs everywhere. You want a tire that looks fantastic, right? You can't beat the Milestar. It just looks different than everything else out there. It's kind of got that old school military pattern where you've got that circumferential ring around the center of the tire, then you've got the big horizontal chunky tread blocks going outward from that. Nice aggressive sidewall, rim protection flange. I mean, it's got it all. Fantastic looking tire, and it looks different than everything else that's out there, which also sets it apart and makes it cool. Hey Dixie, where you been? So I mean, it just trumps all those categories. So then that comes to off-road and on-road traction. Well, first of all, if you want to see off-road performance of the Milestar Patagonia MT, I suggest you go over and check out Light Bright's channel on YouTube. Her and her hubby Kevin have been beating the stuffing out of a set of those tires. Actually, they've had 2 or 3 sets of those tires, and they really thrash them off-road. Rocks, roots, mud, snow, you name it. They thrash those tires and they love them. Never had any trouble with them. In fact, there's several videos on their page, on their YouTube channel, where you can clearly see it yourself. Other Jeeps will be trying to drive up an obstacle, over an obstacle. They'll struggle, hop, and bounce around and spin the tires and smoke the tires, and they're having a little trouble. They finally make it, and then Kevin just walks right up it with those Milestars. I mean, sticky tread compound, awesome tread pattern that gives you not only lateral traction, but it digs in and pushes you forward or backward. It's just a fantastic tread pattern for off-road use, and the sidewalls are beefy, strong. I mean, you just can't beat them off-road. They're fantastic, Now, if you're really, really mudding or getting down in that soupy stuff, there's some tires out there that are a little better. You got Super Swampers and all those really aggressive tires that are better, But for an all-around off-road tire, it's hard to beat the Milestar. It really is. And that brings me to the last category, on-road traction. I ran those tires on the Jeep, ran them in the rain, snow, ice. And they surprised me because everybody knows that a mud tire is not your first choice if you're looking for a foul weather type of tire, right? But the Milestar does a really good job. And I think it becomes an issue of the tread compound again because, they made that really soft compound for the rocks off-road, but it just so happens that also means that it sticks to the pavement pretty well too. And you've got a lot of siping there going on. All the tread blocks are siped, stone ejectors, the whole 9 yards. Lots of technology built into that tire, and I found that it was actually surprisingly good in the rain and the snow. I never slipped, never slid around, never had any trouble with them. I drove on them pretty easy at first because honestly I was a little nervous. I was like, how are these things going to perform, going around this curve at 55 miles an hour in the snow? But after I drove on them for 6 months or so, I mean, they really inspired confidence, and I just got to where I really trusted them. Surprisingly good in the foul weather. So, I mean, you're looking at a tire that's got it all. It's great on the road. It's quiet. It's not nearly as loud as the other mud terrains out there. It rolls smooth, balances easy. It's great off-road. It looks good. It's very inexpensive to purchase. I mean, what else do you want in a tire? I think that the Milestar Patagonia MT, I think they really, really hit the hammer, or excuse me, the nail on the head. Hit the hammer on the head. They hit the nail on the head when they designed that tire. They did a great job of making something that's different, but it works great, and they offer it at a fantastic price. And I think all of that combined, the tire spoke for itself, and the off-road community, as well as just, people who are running on the road with lifted vehicles, they all responded by buying that tire like crazy. It's been a huge hit for Milestar, and like I said, don't think you can beat it. Now, having said all that, I'm not sponsored by them. Every set of them that I buy comes out of my own pocket. They've never given me a set of tires. They've never given me anything. I buy it all out of my pocket because I like the tires. They're great tires, and because I want to show you guys that you don't have to spend $1,500 on a set of tires to get something awesome. So, without further ado, here's the new set that I decided to go with for the Ram 1500, provided that they fit the truck. Check it out. Well, the day finally came and I got one wheel and tire, still waiting on the other 3. If you've ever wondered what the difference is between a 295/60 R20 and the stock 275/55 R20, there it is. Massive difference. Now, the funny thing about this 295/60 is that it's labeled as a 34 by 12. But when I put the tape measure on here and measure from the ground straight up, I'm getting a full 34 inches, which is taller than any of the 35 1250s I've had before. You may remember I had that set of 35 1250 Yokohamas. I've also had this same tire in a 315/70 R17, which is supposed to be a 35 1250. Neither of those 35s was as tall as this is. This thing is really tall. It's a lot taller than I expected it to be, and so I do not believe that it's going to fit in there. I'm going to put it on and try, but I don't think so. I was planning on it being shorter than the listed height, which is usually what you get with these tires. Turns out that it's a whole lot taller than I planned on, so I don't think it's going to work, but just for kicks and giggles, let's put one on and just see. Okay guys, so apparently my other 3 wheels and tires are not going to be here till tomorrow. Thanks FedEx, I appreciate it. But I was really curious, so I decided to go ahead and test fit this one just to see where it was going to be. And it's super close to my homemade ugly mud flaps I've got here. But as you can see, it does work. I can't believe it, but apparently you can run a 35-inch tire on these trucks. And here comparison between the 2 offsets. These wheels are 20x9 with a 0 offset, and you can see they put the sidewall of the tire right out to the fender flare, whereas the 20x9 with positive 19 offset from the factory is obviously up under the fender quite a bit. So this is kind of what I was looking for, because it gets the tire, like I said, out to the fender, but it doesn't poke out a lot. And so my homemade mud flaps will still be able to do their job, which is to keep all this gravel and everything off the paint. So works pretty good there. As far as the clearance goes in the front, you know, up behind the fog lights, there's plenty of room there. I mean, it's probably about an inch or inch and a half left, so that's all you need. Now obviously when you are flexing the suspension out, the center part of the tire here where it sticks out the farthest, that's going to come up, you know, during the suspension travel excuse me, suspension travel. So it'll get a little bit closer in here as far as tolerances go, you know, as you drive, but not too bad. Pretty happy with that. You can see what the clearance was like in the back by the mud flap with a factory wheel and tire. I mean, it looks a little bit tight on its own. And then with the 35 on there, again, it's super tight. I can probably stick a finger in there, but that's all I really need, because this rubber mud flap has some give to it anyway, you know, so it's not like the tire is up into any of the body. So that's going to work really good. I'm surprised, but it's going to work. Just can't wait to get the rest of them now. Yeah, so just to recap, this is a 2020 Ram 1500. It's a North Edition, so that means it's got the same suspension under it that the off-road package and Rebel trucks get, which from what I understand makes it sit about 1 inch higher than a standard 4x4. And then I also put a 1.5 inch leveling kit on the front of it. The rear is completely stock. The front has that 1.5 inch leveling kit, which as you can see makes it pretty level. So I guess altogether the front of my truck probably sits about 2.5 inches taller than a standard stock 4x4 when you combine the off-road suspension plus the leveling kit. So for all intents and purposes, we'll just call it 2.5 inches in the front, stock in the back. So that was really surprising for me. You know, I did not intend to buy a tire this tall. I thought that I was getting a 34-inch tire, which would measure out to be about 33 inches tall. And what I ended up with is a full inch taller than what I expected. You know, and I ordered them based on all my previous experience. I've had, you know, 35s before. I've just never had them on 20-inch wheels, but I've had 35s, both flotation and metric sizing, you know, and everything in between. So I really thought I knew what I was doing, but I learned a lesson today. 295 60/20 is a really tall tire. Or maybe it's just the Milestar. Maybe the Milestar just, you know, runs a lot taller than some of the other brands. I don't know. But we learned today that a 35 will fit a leveled Ram pickup. So good info there. If you're planning on putting a leveling kit on your Ram, you're wondering how big of a tire you can stuff under there. Yes, you can do a 35. So these wheels are the Vision Nemesis wheels, 20x9, 0 offset. I went with the matte gray or the anthracite gray, whatever you want to call it, just to be a little different. I really thought about doing all black, but you know, I've done all black quite a bit, and so has everybody else. So I thought the gray on the black would maybe, you know, make it a little different, and it would look good on this truck. Another neat feature of these Vision Nemesis wheels is that this ring out here is obviously, you know, you can take that off. It's made out of some kind of plastic or composite material. It seems like a really rugged, heavy duty composite material. So this will kind of give you some protection. You know, if you were to scuff this up or tear it up or curb it or something like that, you could always take this ring off and just replace the ring, and you don't have to get a whole new wheel. So that's kind of cool too. And I like the way that the lug nuts are not covered up by the cap, so that you don't have to take the cap off each time you want to rotate your tires. That's kind of a nice feature as well. Good grief, Dixie. Are you okay? I think Dixie must have eaten a rock. So anyhow, Vision off-road makes some pretty nice stuff. Inexpensive, but it seems to be pretty quality stuff. Has some nice features. So good looking wheel, nice functional wheel if you're looking for an option for your Ram. And of course the tire being the Milestar Patagonia MT. This particular size, I guess maybe all of them, but they're made in Indonesia. If you look at the globe, you're talking down there around Australia. It's where these things are made. And on this 295/60 R20, I was a little disappointed on the width. Not so much the section width, because it's a full 12 inches, which is what was listed. But the tread width, you know, when I measure from the edge of the tread over to the other edge, I only get 9.5 inches, which is not quite what I expected. The stock 275s on my truck are about 9.5 inches tread width. So the tread width runs a little narrow. The section width is right on point. And the diameter, as we've already discussed, is a lot taller than I expected. So this thing is true to size, you know, in terms of like how we measure, which is from the ground up in a straight line. Usually the manufacturers measure including the bulge of the sidewalls. Of course, this tire doesn't have a lot of bulge, which is something else I was looking for, with some more tire bulge to protect the wheels. But anyhow, the tire's, you know, pretty much true to size as far as diameter. A lot of technology in this tire. Look at all the siping. Like I was telling you, all the tread blocks have lots of siping. You've got the stone ejector bars here to keep stones from drilling in, but also this helps to create a situation where it can evacuate mud and snow. It prevents suction and getting the mud just stuck in there. So that's nice to have. You've got the way that these tread blocks are kind of designed here. You've got some, see how it kind of gradually steps down. So what that does is it gives more stability to the tread block. You don't see that on a lot of tires, especially mud tires. So that's going to help your on-road feel, because it's going to keep the tread blocks in the center where most of the weight of the vehicle is, from squirming around on you. So really cool to see that too. I like how these tread blocks are designed with the, see how they're alternating there. So if you're off in the deep mud and this tire is spinning, it's going to really churn away and dig for you. Like we've talked about, the sidewall is really aggressive. So got these little knobs here to help you if you get down in a rut or something. I mean, there's just a lot of technology in this tire. The tread compound is fairly soft and does fantastic out on the road and off-road. But this is a great all-around tire because it does everything really well. It's good for foul weather, good for highway driving, stable, so it doesn't feel squirmy when you're towing, and just a fantastic all-around tire that's aggressive, but not so aggressive that it's going to wah going down the road and drive you insane. All we got to do now, put them on the truck when the other ones arrive, hopefully tomorrow, and then go out on the road and do a little bit of a noise test again, sound test again, just to see what this particular size sounds like out on the road on the Ram. You know, these Ram trucks are so quiet inside that probably won't hear the tires at all, is my guess. Okay, so I'm gonna level up the tire, and we're right at 34 inches. So 34 inches in diameter exactly. Now, it's not mounted on the truck, obviously. So once we put it on the truck and put weight on it, it'll measure out a little less. But mounted and balanced and everything just off the truck, exactly 34 inches. As far as the tread width goes, looking at about 9.5 inches or so of tread width. And it's hard to do the actual section width because you'd have to rig up something to do it properly. So take my word for it, I measured it, it's right at 12 inches. I just put them on the bathroom scales over there, And this Vision Nemesis 20x9 wheel with the Milestar Patagonia MT tire and just a little bit of sticky weights. You see the little bit of sticky weights in there. I put this combo on the bathroom scale over there and it came out to exactly 100 pounds. So my factory wheel and tire over there, when I put them on the same scale, they were 72 pounds. So I'm adding just about 28 pounds of weight here. And you know, it's a lot of weight, but it's not a huge increase like some guys do. You know, there's some guys out there that run 37s and 38s on these things with lift kits, so not going that extreme.